Hey everyone, good morning, good evening to the intellectual world of World Wide Web. Today I'm going to talk about some practical pointers while preparing or creating your own intellectual property portfolio. If you see at the current scheme of things, or last 20 years, I would say, the best of the companies or the top 10 companies globally are the companies who own a lot of intellectual property rights. So when we talk about intellectual property rights, two or three pointers, I would say, from these rights become more important than the others. However, none of them can work without the coexistence, or I would say, how consolidation of different intellectual property rights come into existence is the key for not only the GDP to grow in any country, I would say in the current scheme of things, to grow as a nation, to grow as um, different nodes in the online world. And one such domain where I believe, and from the past couple of webinars conducted globally, I believe that the road to cyber is being part of this cyber world in whatever way you guys and folks can think of. One such thing is cybersecurity. Now, what is cybersecurity? In very simple words, it's to do to secure the parameter right, so that the right parameters can cure anything and everything. That's the way I would like to put up what cybersecurity is all about. I like to quote it again. Cybersecurity is securing the periphery with the right parameters, with the right cyber parameters. It can be first cyber parameter, it can be second cyber parameter, third cyber parameter, and whatnot in the online world. And how those parameters can cure anything and everything. I think that's how I like to put what cybersecurity is all about. When we talk about patent applications, people who understand patents good enough, um, researchers who really want to understand little bit of patenting, or I would say the enthusiast entrepreneurs who really want to understand patents, this is the video for you. So you would be seeing filing of cybersecurity based patent application generally under electricity. And electricity has been tagged as H. And the other very important international patent classification, that is like tagging, and this tagging is much older than the tagging of what we do today in the online world, is H04, that talks about, or it relates to, electronic communication technique. Again, electronic telecommunication or communication technique. It's electronic communication technique. I'll come to telecommunication afterwards. So first we start with H, then is H04, then is H04L. That stands for transmission of digital information. Example, telegraphic communication. That's where telecommunication is going to play a major role. So transmission of digital information, for example, telegraphic communication. Another very important IPC is H04L 63/00. That stands for networking. Let's talk about how these communication can actually happen. We need a network. We need a network, devices, apparatus, optic fibers to make it happen. So that is basically for not I'll just repeat once more. It's H04L 63, which talks about network architectures or network communication protocols for network security. So whenever there is network security, the classification which should be taken into consideration even while researching, writing, prosecuting, a patent application or to understand a technology is H04L63/00. Another very important classification, which is the need of the hour, is H04L 6314. 63/14, and that talks about, or that relates to, network architectures or network communication protocols for network security. So what kind of architecture should be there, or network communication protocols which should be deployed to identify the periphery of network security for detecting or protecting against malicious traffic. And especially these kind of these, I would say, the threads, this is very common with Android, not common with other operating systems. I would rather put it that way for now. So let's talk about this pattern application, which talks about accessing effectiveness of cybersecurity technologies. How to access effectiveness, whether the particular technology which states that this is cybersecurity based technology, how that effectiveness is accessed. So some parameters have been defined, and those parameters have been utilized to I would say have been utilized to understand cybersecurity in a different manner, or I would say it's like identifying the standard operational protocols or standard operating procedures for cybersecurity based technologies. So what they have claimed as a patent claim is a method for accessing effectiveness of one or more cybersecurity technologies in a computer network, where testing each of two or more component stages of an model at a first computer network element twice. This itself is like, double check. How? Understand this process. Testing is done for any kind of cybersecurity scenario to happen. There are stages, there are role plays. So one has to identify the component stages, which might be two or more, and that's what we do in cyber drilling also. Cyber drilling is grilling your mind to enact those scenarios, those stages in advance, and develop products surrounding that protocol. And that's how these kind of technologies are filed for patent application. These technologies are deployed in enterprises at a licensing cost, depending upon the number of consumers who would be I would say, who would be utilizing the product. So there are a lot of parameters on which one can decide the licensing cost also. Many a times, as companies, be the tech companies, and especially the tech companies based out of in India, they are of the opinion that the old school model is going to work for the new school model. However, I think this time has tested each one of us, and this is very evident that old school model is required, and old school model needs to marry the new school model. In very simple words, that means that technology, which is being re-engineered every 6 months, need to marry law, or I would say understand intellectual property rights in a manner where it's a win-win situation for the parties who are signing that memorandum of understanding. Generally, the main document, or I would say the initiation documents which you sign, which you believe is going to, I would say, facilitate not only the vision and mission of the companies and the enterprises involved. However, I believe the very important factor is how that alignment happens with the SDG goals, and especially goal number 17, that is sustainable goal number 17, which is all to do with partnerships. So I think PEPs have some clue about what cybersecurity profession can provide, I think it's